Intellectual leader among the Congress leadership. Now he is ready to answer what are the questions you have raised, especially regarding BJP, Modi and their team. He is a loaded gun. He is ready to fire. Please, sir. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Very good to see Mr. Alagiri here, the Secretary from AICC and senior office bearers of the Tamil Nadu Congress Committee. Good to see all of you. I see some of you are wearing masks, some of you are not wearing masks, but I think most of us feel suffocated in these masks in this very, very challenging time of the second wave of COVID and anticipation of a third wave. And I have to say that if we are feeling suffocated, we are feeling even more suffocated by the alarming rise in prices that is confronting the nation right now after 7 years of this government's rule. You may have noticed that yesterday there was one more price increase, a hike in the prices of petrol and diesel. The 8th time in July alone. In fact, in Chennai today, the price of petrol is 102.25 per litre and diesel is 94.40 paise in Chennai today. You're lucky you're not in Mumbai, because in Mumbai it's 107.54 per litre of petrol and 97.45 of diesel. So at least by comparison, you're saving 2 or 3 rupees, but I can tell you it is an outrageous price. If you look at the LPG gas cylinders, subsidized gas cylinders, the people in Chennai are paying 869 rupees today. But if you were in Patna, the capital of Bihar, you would be paying 933 rupees. Now that is the kind of picture that we have seen after 7 years of BJP misrule and mismanagement of the economy. Let me take a couple of minutes of your time and then I'll take your questions. The increase in the price of fuel is very illustrative. Up to the elections, they tried not to do anything dramatic. After the 4th of May, in these 10 weeks, they have raised petrol and diesel prices 40 times. 40 times in just 10 weeks. Can you imagine? That's an average of 4 price increases a week once the election is over. So we are going to be up for the high jump between now and the next elections, it looks like. In the last period, I would say that the increase in petrol prices just since the 4th of May is about 12 rupees in petrol and about 10 rupees in diesel, literally in just 10 weeks. Now, these series of hikes are coming at a time when our country's economy is reeling under the mismanagement of the Modi government. We have the highest unemployment ever recorded in India since they started recording figures. 8.1% is the last figure that I've seen, and that does not even count the disguised unemployment in the informal sector. If you look at the wages, many companies are cutting wages. People have no choice. If they want to work, they have to accept a lower salary. Do you know that 97% of Indian households have told a recent survey that they are poorer this year than last year, poorer last year than the year before? 97%. So it's a very small percentage that have been able to escape the worst of the economic damage done by this government. And I have to tell you that the worst in many ways is the fact that the fuel price increase administered by the Modi government has impacted the price of everything else, with the result that even the prices of vegetables, fruits, pulses, oil, essential household items have all increased. I think all of you know this from your own household expenses. We are looking at a situation that if you want to eat, food inflation is 5.6%, pulses inflation is 10%, fruits inflation is 13%, oils and fats 35% price increase this year. If you want to cook what you have bought, then you are facing the incredibly high prices of fuel that I've already mentioned to you. If you want to light a lamp in your household or cook, you'll find that the household fuel and lighting is 13% higher. And then if you want to go to work, if you still have a job, transport inflation is 12%. So how are people in our country meant to eat, to cook, to travel, to light up their homes in circumstances where the government is doing this? Now let me explain that this is not ordinary inflation. I mean, any economic student will tell you, inflation usually in a normal, healthy economy is for two reasons: either because demand is going up, supply is not there, therefore prices go up, or because people have so much money in their hands and the government may have given them so much money that they spend too much and so prices go up. Neither of these is true in India. Demand is not going up, it's going down. People have not been given money. As you know, this government is the worst of all the major economies in terms of how little fiscal stimulus they have given to help poor people and lower middle class people to manage with this economy. So if it's not this, what is the reason? There are three main reasons. The first and most important is the increase of taxes by the Modi government. Taxes on fuel has been particularly outrageous, and if any BJP spokesman tells you it's because of global prices, tell them we have facts and figures that show it's not true. When global prices were $125 at the time of the UPA government, at that time we were able to give you petrol at 65 rupees and diesel at 44 rupees. Today, the global price is not 125. It is slowly going up, but it's only about $75. And yet, we are paying over 100 for petrol and over 90 for diesel. So that's the first answer. I should stress that the government has been using taxes on fuel as a way of increasing its own coffers, with a complete disregard for the common person, for the ordinary citizen of India. In fact, the government has collected 4.2 lakh crores in the last fiscal year only from petrol and diesel taxes, 4.2 lakh crores, whereas it is 3 times the last collection by the UPA government when global prices were higher. So let us have no illusions about this. And let me explain one very important aspect about the increase of taxes in fuel. I've got some numbers. If you'll allow me to give you some numbers, it's worth knowing that when the UPA government was in power, if you take just petrol, for example, the UPA government collected a cess of 6 rupees 45 paise on every litre of petrol. But then the state governments got 3 rupees. So 1/3 of as much as half of what the central government was collecting was going to the states. When the India government came, they dramatically raised prices. Global prices of crude had dropped, so they kept raising taxes. And by 2017, the first NDA government, 17.5 rupees they were keeping, but the states were still getting 3.98. What has happened in 2021 after this year's budget? I was having breakfast with your finance minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. PTR, Palanivel Tyagarajan, and he was telling me on petrol, the central government keeps 32 rupees 33 paise and the state government gets 57 paise. And this is because the bulk of the increase has been done through the form of cess, and cess is not money which is divided with the states. So this, to my mind, is extremely important. 96% of all petrol taxes are in the non-divisible kitty going only to Delhi, to the central government, and the state governments are given no money to actually spend here. Now, in these circumstances, we're looking at a very critical situation when it comes to fuel prices. But there are 2 more factors I want to mention, then I'll take your questions. Import duties on absolutely essential items of household expenditure have gone up under the BJP government, NDA government. Even palm oil, which all of us use in our kitchens, and pulses, which all of us in Indian cooking cannot avoid. Pulses, palm oil have had high increases in import duties. And the third factor, which many of you are aware because you shop yourselves, has been GST rates. Not only has GST been an irrational tax, hastily implemented in a way in which in many ways the system design itself was flawed, with 5 rates plus additional rates and so on. But if you look at basic household items, it is shocking that there are 12 to 18% GST rates on toothpaste, on toiletries, on food items, on processed foods, even on nuts. But honestly, this policy is truly nuts.